So it's the next day. Uh, Australia won, Japan won. Now I'll break down tactically how this game was an advantage for the Socceroos, but it us as in a point of view from the Australians, this was necessary. We needed a point here. We had such a bad first two games, where we should really be comfortably second. Saudi Arabia has been poor as well, and we should be holding the second place very well, very comfortably. Picture this: so we're in the same points as Saudi Arabia at the moment, but we don't concede that goal against Bahrain, or we win against Bahrain. We're 3 points ahead, and go, if we had scored a goal against Indonesia, we would have put another 2 points. That's 5 points that we're desperately missing in this team, and we were really lucky that everyone else has slipped. Now heading into the next window, we play Saudi Arabia, then Bahrain. Now this is the test. This is the window that I think confirms who the really. Because if we can get 2 wins here, not only we're in the same points as Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, so not only are we going to be at least 3 points above Saudi Arabia, and at least 3 points Bahrain, that means that we've got a good buffer. 3 points is a good buffer, and if let's say Saudi Arabia or Bahrain also lose, I'm not sure who they're playing, but let's say Japan. I'll check the schedules now, but it would just be so much more comfortable if we could get points. And looking into the next games, Bahrain's playing China. Now that's most likely, unless they do something like they did against Indonesia, looks like Bahrain's gonna win. Bahrain could definitely win this match. China could, like, they did win against Indonesia. But if Bahrain play well, they should beat China. And then yes, Indonesia plays Japan, so that's not really what we want. But So now we're gonna break down the game really, stats wise. So, looking at it, we had Gauchi in goal. Before game, I was a bit negative about Gauchi. I didn't really think he deserved it, but he proved me wrong. Really, nothing he could do about that goal. Solid and net all game. Yeah. And then the three centre back: Burgess, Suter, Guerra. Suter was so good aerial wise. Guerra, man of the match performance. Burgess, he was probably the worst of the three. He did get the own goal, but he was still really solid. He did make some important tackles during that game. Now we also had Boss and Miller, and I really like this. So Boss and Miller would push up a bit. They were the wingers in this formation. Boss and Miller. And I was talking about how in the video talk about China, is that how really the strategy works more when you have attacking midfielders rather than wingers that we had against China. And that's what Popovic did. He did change it to that. He got McGree and Hrustic in, who are more attacking midfielders, creative. I think Duke's just not the right striker. He's not looked good all qualifying. Really, he's not scored yet, which is a big problem when you're the main striker. I would like to see someone like Goodwin playing that. I would like Target to play in that. Stammer. If there were more games where we could trial out, I think that would be what we would do. But we're in World Cup qualifying. There's no trials are over, and I think that's the problem with Popovic. He has to work out that striker issue, the attacking issue. But so one thing I didn't like is Bratton. I didn't like that he got called up. The problem is he's 34. Otherwise, he's a good midfielder. But you probably last minute didn't you go But I don't think he should get direct calls up. He was a last minute replacement, so maybe then. But he got subbed off at Yazbek. Yazbek, I think, did really well. He should get more minutes. He's a good defensive mid. I was talking about this before. You're gonna change Bratton. I was saying it's how the game's gonna work. You need a goal. You take off Bratton, put a more attacking player like Goodwin. Take off a midfielder, put an attacker, basically. And then, or like we did, put Yazbek on, who will play more defensively. One of the interesting subs that I think Popovic did during this match is Bacchus. Now, Bacchus, he's more of a defensive midfielder. He can play over Yazbek and stuff, but right back, it's a very. I thought what I thought was going to happen was Deng or Stianis would come into the centre back position, but Guerra would then push out to the right. But the problem is that the right back position is the one that's doing all the running up and down. That's why both of them got subbed off, because they were so tired. But that also means that a tired man of the match who's doing really well, person at centre back, is not the best option. Bacchus, he didn't show enough to really go. I didn't think he had enough minutes. We were kind of played very defensively. Now, talking about the game, we sat back in a 5-4-1. So we sat back in a 5-4-1. And now what I saw really is that we had at times when Japan were playing, they had four attackers pushing up on our 5. But the problem here is that we're a man more than them. That meant that they had to push more numbers up. So looking at the board here, we got if you go man on man, Miller was stuck with Matoma and wait, let me get this right. This is what we looked like. This is what Japan looked like. So basically,
we sat back in the five at the back. Mitoma would be on Miller. Kubo would come in next to Guerra, so it's kind of an option to go around. And what we saw in the second half as well is that Minamino and I think it was Kubo, they swapped sides, which was really interesting, is because I think instead of going around like we were, they were going to try and cut inside. That didn't work that much. But when there were times where there was one bit where Boss got overrun, and because Burgess is free, man on man, Burgess could come in, make the tackle, because Boss lost. But yeah, I think Boss had to play a more defensive role than he normally does. He did make a good run into the box, but he also had to play more defensive because we're only sat at the 3 back against a 3-4-3. Now, one thing too is normally one of the Japan centre backs would push up into high. So we saw some runs around here where the Japan defense was coming through. So sometimes they had 2 at the back. But I think Duke, only thing he did well is he was pressing. And that's really important. So that meant that the ball would go back to the keeper constantly. And I think that's really good. That's where Boss was really good. Boss was playing really well. He could press up, and he made the run in. But yeah, so we set very defensively. I originally thought it would look something like a 3-4-2-1 or a 5-2-3. But no, we sat back more in a 5-4-1 with when the wingbacks would come in. Well, when the wingbacks came in, we would be more attacking. Now let's talk about this. Bajic probably had to sub Boss. It was on a yellow card. Important. Valupale didn't really do much. I just don't know why. It's probably from his goal against China, the reason why he only got called up. And then Goodwin, probably the worst thing about this game is we will miss Goodwin, our most lethal effort in our next game, which is it's a real bummer for us, because Goodwin, who didn't get too much minutes, he got a yellow card, which was basically a red card because he's out for the Saudi Arabia game, which I think is really unfair. Only one yellow card. That we need to fix this. But really, we sat back so defensively in this game that it was like a 5-4-1 with Duke. Problem is, we can't really blame Duke because he didn't get service in this game. I think if we do this against... We need more games. We need more trials. Can't understand it. But yeah, the Japan sometimes even looked a 2-3-5, I would say. They kind of looked like they tried to match our 5 at the back with 5 attackers, but it didn't really work. The only time they really got a chance was the own goal.
Nothing that Burgess could do because there was a person behind him who was going to tap it in. I honestly think it's better for the own goal than Japan to have the goal, because really it changes the mentality. If we concede, it's like, oh, dang it, but Japan's like, oh yes, we can do this. Just repeat this. But I think also the mentality when we scored the goal was because it was such a bit fluke. I think Burgess one was defending, the other one was a fluke, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so... It's all the mentality of the game. People go, oh, strategy, it's how good your players are. No, the thing is, it's all mentality. It's who scores first, it's who does next. But we got really interesting games against Saudi Arabia, Bahrain coming up, but really excited for this weekly videos to come with the A-League season just around the corner. Let's go Brisbane.